So, by browsing Equestria Daily, one thing that I came upon, I should say, easy for me to say, sorry, but I came upon was an article that they posted, sorry, getting tongue-tied here, that they posted 8 days ago. Well, about 8 days ago at 4 o'clock today. But basically, the article was a discussion. And the discussion topic was, if Friendship is Magic had a final comeback arc, what would you want it to be about? And obviously, this is a question a lot of fans have asked themselves, at conventions, have thought about. And now you have Equestria Daily, one of the more popular websites. Like I said, you had Equestria Daily, one of the more popular, reliable websites for news and fan communication, if you will, interaction, asking this question, and I thought about it. I thought about, what I would like to see, if a comeback story was to be made, a comeback arc. Now, we know IDW tried to do a Season 10, and I admit, I haven't gotten all the issues of Season 10, but from what I've seen so far, I've enjoyed. Now, I know some people have had the complaints about Season 10 because they feel like this is not, the cartoon. Because you have all these other characters and everything, and all of a sudden you have all these different trees of life, if you will, showing up out of nowhere across the world. And I can understand that, criticism, that negativity, if you will, when it comes to that. But you have to remember, the people working on the comic, the writers, probably didn't have that much communication with the writers of the show. They may have gotten some notes, linear notes and all that, but that's about it. They just went off of those notes and decided to write whatever they wanted to write. Now, with that said, did Season 10 overall, even though I don't have all the issues yet, did it attempt to do basically what it needed to do to, try to give people a satisfying conclusion, kind of fill in the gaps? And I would say yes. I would say yes, it did. However, when it comes to an exact final arc, an exact final season, a Season 10, if you will, I think when fans read this kind of an article, I think it's the kind of article that they would love nothing more than to kind of, give the attention to those in charge of the animation right now of MLP and say, get us a Season 10. Here's what we want. We have all these people backing it up. We want it. But again, what would we like to see? What would the final comeback arc be if they were to do it? And for me personally, I think they need to resolve a lot of things, honestly. I mean, I'll give them credit. In Season 9, they tried to. They tried to resolve a lot of things. And heck, even Lauren Faust, like I said in a previous video, just having fun at the expense of the fans and all that, tried to give a conclusion, a closure to Spike and Rarity Sparity, but I don't think she expected it to blow up the way it did, especially later on when Nicole Dubuque took over and said, I'm bringing this back. And so, first of all, and I am doing this, without a bullet points or script, I'm just doing this off the top of my head. First of all, in my opinion, honestly, guys, when it comes to what I just mentioned, one of the things I think the comeback arc needs to do is really, really drill home the fact that there is something more between Spike and Rarity. I think that's what they need to do. Because, let's be honest, despite how you feel about the way, that Rarity was portrayed in Dragon Dropped, the ending, pretty much in my opinion, with the exception of Pinkie Pie, kind of made up for it in more ways than one. And also, when you look at Best Gift Ever and what Spike did there at the end, it's like, come on, seriously. It's like I said in the previous video, if Lauren Faust didn't want this to happen, she could have left notes and everything for, those that, followed after her to kind of take into consideration and work around in the show. I mean, even Nicole Dubuque, having respect for Lauren, probably would have followed those notes. But that didn't happen. Lauren was just there for 2 seasons, and then that was it. And, the rest of it was Megan McCarthy and Nicole Dubuque later on. But to get back on point, I think one of the things a final comeback arc needs to do is resolve Spike and Rarity and really cement the fact that there is something there between them more than friendship. Kind of build upon what was not only shown in Best Gift Ever, but really kind of built upon and hinted at and kind of cliffhangered at, at the end of Dragon Dropped. That to me is something they need to look into. Also, I think they should take one of the stories that they were actually expanding on in Season 10, Cheese Sandwich and Pinkie Pie, and really build upon that. I think in the comeback arc, they should really build upon it and just really give off the sense, just like they did in the comic, if not more so, that basically there is something more between them now. Yes, I know you're thinking it sounds more like you want this comeback arc to be a romance arc. Well, be honest with you, if this was to happen and this was to be the true definitive, final season, then yes, I think some romance needs to be thrown in there. I think some romance needs to be a part of this. And whether we like to admit that or not, I think it needs to be, be written in somehow, in some way, whether it's at the beginning, middle, or the final portion of the season. So I think they need to build upon that. Rainbow Dash, we need to see her ascension. We see in Last Prom that she's basically the captain of the Wonderbolts. She's basically, in the place that Spitfire occupied. So I think in Season 10, we need to see her make her ascension. We need to see her build up to the point that at the end of the season, she's a co-captain. That's right, she's a co-captain alongside Spitfire. We need that. There is no doubt, we need that. Applejack, in my opinion, I think we need to see more with her family. I think we need to see her putting more responsibility on Apple Bloom to be like the next, person in charge of the Apple family farm. So I think we need to see that. I think we need to see more of a development between her relationship with her sister-in-law. Like I said, I think we need to see more of a interaction, relationship growing between Applejack and her sister-in-law, Sugar Belle. We need to have it culminate at the end of the season with Sugar Belle announcing that she's going to expect, or at least give off that vibe. We need to see that. There's no doubt. Fluttershy and Discord's relationship really needs to be built upon more. We need to literally get more hints that, Fluttershy feels something more for Discord, and same, vice versa with him to Fluttershy. But also kind of see him fully come, full circle with his redemption. I think we should also see Tree Hugger make a return to really help, kind of give off the vibes in her own way of, Fluttershy and Discord having feelings for each other that's beyond friendship. We should have her show up to help make that happen. Maud Pie, I think we should have Maud Pie come back. Maud, I think, what's the guy's name? She's dating. I can't think of his name right now. But anyway. We should have her and her boyfriend come back, and maybe the boyfriend proposes to her in their own unique way. That's setting up maybe a marriage episode later on the season. Maybe they could do that. I think we should have, speaking of the Pie Sisters, I think we should have Marble Pie. We should have an adaptation of the story where she goes off to college. Not specifically say where she's going. Oh, you could. But we should have Marble Pie finally really have more words and everything. So, kind of build upon her character and give her a little bit of a mini arc and all that. Twilight. Obviously, you got to use this season to build upon her role as the new overall ruler, queen of Equestria. I think you need to do that. you also need to give us some conflict. You know, you need to maybe give us some visions of the fact that, you know, perhaps the spell that, you know, Celestia and Luna and Discord put on the villains is not a permanent deal. And maybe you give her visions of them possibly escaping. And maybe because of those visions, she accidentally allows them to escape or something. We don't know. Or maybe she decides, you know, they got to make a conscious decision to do something about the statue because, you know, she's getting, you know, some unfriendly vibes coming from it, you know, through these visions. So I think they should do that, as well as they should lay the groundwork for Opala. That's right, they should lay the groundwork for Opala, because we should see, because if what fans are assuming is, the true identity of Opala, I think what they need to do is, in the season, we need to see Flurry Heart grow a little bit more. And we should see her probably acting a little bit more mischievous, a little bit more darker, you know, and maybe give off the vibes that something's not right with her, but then leave it at that, thus leading us in to G5. That's giving us a little bit of hints there, but leading to G5. And also, speaking of the villains again, you know, you go back to, like I said, Twilight having the visions. You know, you have her decide to make a decision, and of course, being classical Twilight, you know, she'll make a decision that will basically backfire, freeze the villains. You have another final confrontation, but this time, the villains get sent into limbo. That's what happens. The villains get sent into limbo. And that's, you know, you don't have to worry about them anymore. And that's how, and those are just some things I think they should do for a comeback arc, in my opinion. Now, you know, will we ever see this actually come to fruition, become a reality? Maybe not, but it's always good to speculate, and that's what I like about, you know, places like Equestria Daily. You know, them asking these kind of questions and discussions, you know, bringing them up to get people to talk about. But what do you guys think? What would you like to see in a final comeback arc, should it happen? What would you like to see resolved, you know, built upon, maybe hinted at for the new generation? What would you want? Let me know down below in the comments, as well as in the live chat during the premiere. Like the video. This will also be an audio podcast on my BW Roses Discussions podcast, which you can find at all your favorite audio podcast locations except for Pandora. Also, support me at Venmo at Brian-Romer-2, Cash App at BW Roses 98. Also, check me out at VENMO at BW Roses for content you can't get here on YouTube. Also, support me and find me at deviantart.com. So that's BVW1979. And also, find me at Patreon and support me at Patreon at BW Roses, a $1, $3 tier. And also, check out my Teespring store for merchandise you can't get anywhere else, just in time for the holidays. But let me know again, guys, what your thoughts are. And until then, I am out.